Bruce Lee made a realization early on in his martial arts career that shaped the rest of his life. He realized that if he wanted to be the greatest fighter of all time, he was going to need to do more than simply hit the heavy bag, spar, and practice Wing Chun on his wooden dummy. He was going to need to look outside the world of martial arts training to find training methods that would produce the kind of adaptations his body needed for him to get an edge on the competition. So he studied the training of professional strongmen, old school bodybuilders, boxers, fencers, and more. And then he took the best parts of each of their training methods and developed his own unique training style that was responsible for his insane strength, ripped physique, and unlimited endurance. We're going to be breaking down all of Bruce Lee's training secrets that made up his most legendary training program. And then at the end of the video, I'll be giving you a full free workout program based off of Bruce Lee's genius style of training so you can get ripped just like him. Back in 1964, Bruce Lee was challenged to a fight by a Chinese martial artist named Wong Jack Man, who had a bone to pick with Bruce because Wong didn't like the fact that Bruce was teaching Kung Fu to non-Chinese students. So to protect his right to teach whoever he wanted, Bruce fought Wong and defeated him. But even though Bruce walked away with the win, the fight was closer than he would have liked, and Bruce was disappointed with how his body performed during the battle. His wife Linda has gone on record to say that if the fight had gone on much longer, Bruce probably would have lost due to his lack of conditioning. So Bruce gave the heavy bag a bit of a break and started to hit the books instead to figure out what his next move was. Bruce needed to find a training method that no other fighters were using that would give him an edge the next time he needed to beat down another racist. And eventually, he stumbled upon a sport that was just rising in popularity at the time, something that no other fighter would ever dream of doing: bodybuilding. Bruce found some friends who were in the bodybuilding world, and they helped him create his first ever bodybuilding program that he would follow 3 days a week. Now, with most bodybuilding programs, the focus is on building up muscle groups like the chest, shoulders, and lats, with the goal of improving one's physique. But Bruce Lee was solely focused on victory, not vanity. For Bruce, it was physical performance over everything. So he trained the muscle groups that he thought were most important for fighting: the legs, arms, and forearms. Now, will running this program make you a great fighter like Bruce Lee was? Definitely not. But will it make you look like the sailor Popeye with a thick ass? 100%. But this was just the start of Bruce Lee's weightlifting journey. And this program and the next few years of Bruce's life were the perfect example of his philosophy around training. This is a quote from Bruce: "Research your own experience. Absorb what is useful. Reject what is useless. Add what is essentially your own." Bruce spent the next 5 years experimenting with different kinds of resistance training workouts, taking the best parts of each one and rejecting everything else, until he had assembled the perfect resistance training routine, a kind of bodybuilding Voltron, if you will. By the year 1970, 5 years after Bruce started experimenting with lifting iron, it was clear that all this weightlifting had paid off, because Bruce went all the way from 130 pounds to 165 pounds. And while standing at a mere 5 feet 7 inches, that means Bruce was a thick boy. But this is where Bruce ran into a huge issue. He ended up dealing with the same problem that 95% of Americans deal with every single day. He had become too thick. While the extra muscle mass had made him stronger and more intimidating, Bruce didn't like how much his speed had taken a hit. So over the next year, Bruce cut down to the 135 pounds that we're used to seeing him at in his big movies, thus regaining his speed. But he was left with a problem. How could he get stronger and more explosive without packing on a lot of extra size and bulk? Well, Bruce found the answer to his question on how he could get stronger and more powerful without putting on too much mass when he stumbled upon the book on classic strongman and bodybuilding training called Strength and How to Obtain It by Eugene Sandow. Eugene Sandow was a strongman and one of the first competitive bodybuilders. Now, I almost feel bad calling him a bodybuilder because bodybuilders back in Sandow's day make modern day bodybuilders look like a bunch of cowards. Because in early bodybuilding competitions, they weren't just judged on their physiques, but on their strength as well, with lifts like one-hand snatches, clean and jerks, and bent presses all being part of the competition. So OG bodybuilders were pretty much modern day bodybuilders, powerlifters, and Olympic weightlifters all in one package. So I think it goes without saying that these guys were strong as hell. Eugene himself was capable of doing one-arm snatches with 180 pounds, and he could do bent presses with 270 pounds. But the thing is, Eugene wasn't a mass monster like someone like Ronnie Coleman. He stood at a height of 5 feet 9 inches, and he weighed in around 180 to 190 pounds. So pound for pound, Eugene was one of the strongest men of all time, and that's exactly what Bruce Lee found so intriguing about him. After reading about Eugene, Bruce knew that it was completely possible for someone to drastically increase their strength and power without packing on a lot of bulk. And today, we understand the underlying science of why this is possible, and it is in large part thanks to something called neuromuscular adaptation. which is all about how your nervous system and muscles learn to work together more efficiently. When you first start strength training, your brain doesn't send signals to your muscles perfectly. It might not activate all the necessary muscle fibers, or it might not coordinate their actions very well. However, as you continue training, your brain gets better at this process. It learns to activate a higher percentage of your available muscle fibers, send signals to these fibers more quickly, and better coordinate the contractions of different muscle fibers and different muscles together. This improved coordination and control allows your muscles to produce more force without increasing the size of your muscles. In essence, neuromuscular adaptation is all about learning to use what you have more efficiently rather than building up new muscle mass. Now, Bruce used two interesting techniques that took advantage of this science to increase his power output without increasing his size, and the first is called overcoming isometrics. Overcoming isometrics are a form of exercise that involves pushing or pulling against an immovable object as hard as you can. This creates an incredibly strong contraction in the muscle, and if you're truly giving it your all, it'll also recruit a large number of muscle motor units, leading to big neuromuscular adaptations. And because the muscle isn't moving as it's producing all this force, there will be less mechanical tension created and less muscle damage, meaning a lot less muscle growth than with conventional lifting, which is perfect for Lee and any other fighters who want to stay light and powerful while building strength. Here in this photo, we can see Bruce Lee curling a bar that's chained to the floor to work his biceps using this method. But this wasn't the only way that he would use overcoming isometrics. In his book, The Art of Expressing the Human Body, there was a full isometric training program made up of 8 exercises that were to be performed for 6 to 12 seconds at a time. We don't have time to go over all of them here, so I've added a few of the best ones to the free Bruce Lee training program that you can download at the end of the video. The second technique that Bruce used was called speed training. This is where he performed standard barbell and dumbbell movements, but he tried to complete each set in as little time as possible. This means that he would complete each repetition with as much speed and power as he could, and this did an amazing job of recruiting and developing his fast twitch muscle fibers, which are responsible for one's ability to move explosively with power. Now, of course, these were just 2 of the weightlifting techniques that Bruce used to increase his athleticism. In addition to these, he would also relentlessly train his core, as you can see from these old photos of him performing his legendary dragon flag move. He would also train more conventional power movements like cleans and presses. And there's a lot more than just that, all of which I've included in this 4-day-a-week Bruce Lee training plan that you can download for free using the link in the description of this video. But remember, this plan is pretty advanced. So if you're newer to fitness or want to train from home with zero equipment needed, then go check out my 17-week at-home superhero origins training plan, link also down below. Now go learn all about Bruce Lee's super unique diet plan that fueled his training and kept him ripped all year round. I'll see you there.